While I have a hard time nailing down a single favorite locomotive, the Pennsylvania Railroad K4 is a strong contender. I can't easily explain it, but to me these bulky Pacifics just look good. While my position on HO scale trains was usually hostile prior to 2017, I did at one time look into acquiring an HO K4. That whole situation is a story in and of itself and possibly a future video. Naturally, not long after I started seriously pursuing HO scale model railroading, I began the search for a K4. As a result, I acquired this model of PRR number 1361 and ran it on the Winchester Model Railroad Club layout. In the spring of 2019, the Winchester Model Railroad Club lost its space and, by extension, the layout. I was getting involved with a different hobby at the time, so all my HO scale equipment was packed away. 1361 didn't have a box, so I wrapped her in a plastic grocery bag for the trip home. In early 2020, I started the process of joining the Northern Virginia Model Railroaders. It was an interesting process given the situation at the time. By the end of the year, however, I had become a full member. It took me a while to reactivate my collection, and in early 2021 I went looking for 1361, but I couldn't find her. I looked everywhere I kept model locomotives, but she was nowhere to be found. I figured she'd been thrown away with other grocery bags accidentally, so I went on eBay and bought another Bachmann K4. 5448. It might seem a little extreme to go ahead and buy another K4, but given the circumstances, I was quite convinced that 1361 was gone. At the end of 2020, my best friend got married. We planned a quasi-bachelor party at the Model Railroad Club where all the guys would run trains with him the night before his wedding. Due to changing guidelines and a subsequent last-minute change in the wedding's date, the rehearsal for the wedding happened the day before the ceremony. The run at the club would happen the same day as the rehearsal. This resulted in a wild carpool situation where all our models were loaded into the vehicle of a guy from Michigan. Those not directly in the ceremony spent the afternoon at the Strasburg Railroad, while everyone participating were at the rehearsal. Afterwards, everyone met up again at the Model Railroad Club. I brought a lot of equipment, and I was pretty sure 1361 was among it. The evening went well, and the next day we got the happy couple off into marital bliss. This bachelor party wasn't wild for the record, it was just a bunch of friends running trains together. Some months later, I went looking for 1361. I looked everywhere, but I couldn't find her. I reached out to the guy in Michigan, who owns a dozen K4s, and asked if a 13th had shown up. I was convinced mine must have accidentally stowed away in his car back to Michigan. He looked, but had none in his possession that matched my 1361. Over the course of the next few months, he searched 2 or 3 times and found nothing. It was then that I decided to get 5448. Okay, so I had a replacement K4. But the used train dealers of the internet have a way of throwing us curveballs, don't they? I took a look on trains.com and saw they had a Paragon 2 PRR pre-war K4 for what I considered a good price. I thought to myself, okay, so that would allow me to doublehead 2 pre-war K4s. That should scratch the itch. Thus, I acquired K4 number 5393. In November of 2022, however, I was digging through a tote of rolling stock to fill up some PPW A-line boxes I had been given. I dug deeper into the tote than I had since I left Winchester. At the very bottom, I found something wrapped in shipping foam. I picked it up, and it bent, like it was articulated. My mind had a momentary short circuit as I tried to remember if I had any articulated rail cars. Then a spark flashed across my mind. Oh, you're kidding me. It was indeed 1361. I had not taken her to the bachelor party. She had been sitting at the other end of the basement wrapped in shipping foam ever since 2019. I snapped a photo of her and sent it to my friend in Michigan with a sheepish, "You're not gonna believe this." The next time we spoke online, he playfully said, "Told you I didn't have it." So here I was, having given Mr. Michigan crap for having too many K4s. Now I had 3. All 3 of the K4s have appeared on this channel before. I wanted to add a gag to Tea and Moonshine about the claim that the K4s inspired Sir Nigel Gresley to build his Pacifics, so I selected 5393 to appear in... The K4 rolls up next to Flying Scotsman and introduces himself as Scott's father. Flying Scotsman is not sure how to handle this situation. 1361 appeared in one of my first micro-documentaries where I went over the life and times of the real 1361's brief return to steam in the 1980s. 5448 came in its original box, which required me to use a screwdriver to couple and uncouple the engine from its tender each time I ran it. With two other K4s I did not have to do that with, I very rarely pulled the engine out. I think I ran it no more than 5 times. Once for PRR steam power in HO scale, once for simple pleasures, models without sound, and likely no more than about 3 times for casual running. Not long after the footage for this video was shot, I sold 5448 to a fellow club member, who will likely put the engine to much better use than I did. So there we have it, a fleet of K4s acquired basically by accident. I can't imagine I am alone in this, however. Certainly someone out there has a similar story. If all this sounds familiar, drop a comment below. Let's share those moments where we get a little too human. Otherwise, stay safe out there, and enjoy this great hobby of ours.